If you're following the American race for the Oval Office, and let's face it, if you're upright and consuming oxygen on planet Earth, you really can't miss it. You already know it's one of the most divisive and contentious contests in recent memory. But some things just happened on the campaign trail this weekend that could have pretty big implications in the world of work. So come on back, we're going to break it down for you. Hey folks, Mark here with The Rational Workforce. Thanks so much for tuning in. As we enter into the final stretch of the 2024 presidential election, both candidates are hitting the trail pretty hard. Now, national polls show a virtual dead heat between Harris and Trump, but bookmakers show Trump is absolutely running away with the election as the former president's momentum seems to be surging in recent weeks. Both candidates have staged rallies in different parts of the country. Harris packed a stadium in Texas with an estimated 30,000 attendees as she teamed up with Beyonce to make a final push for voters' trust, while Trump sold out the nearly 20,000-seat Madison Square Garden in New York with an overflow crowd of thousands who flooded the streets around the stadium. Now that's an impressive showing for both candidates, right? But the media portrayal of both events was starkly different. We'll have more on that in a minute. But another incredible thing happened this weekend that really deserves some attention. Now, on Friday, Donald Trump sat down with Joe Rogan for a nearly 3-hour free-flowing conversation that covered everything from MMA fights to the environment to immigration, and it really was an exhaustive, unedited interview, and I've actually only had time to make it halfway through so far. But here's the headline. As of the time of this recording, only a couple of days after the episode was posted to YouTube, it's already amassed some 33.5 million views. And that doesn't count people who listen to it on other platforms like Spotify, which is the actual home of Rogan's podcast. Now, let that sink in for a minute. 33 million views in 48 hours. Now, by contrast, the total average viewership of the evening news on ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, Fox, and MSNBC add up to 22.9 million viewers combined. So Rogan's YouTube total alone, and it's well on the way to like 35 million views and climbing, blows that out of the water. Now, whether people tuned in because they're fans of Trump or because they oppose him and are just looking for ammunition in the form of sound bites, it's kind of irrelevant. The numbers are significant and they are noteworthy, and that's particularly true because Harris has recently come off a series of interviews on network and cable news shows where many feel her performance was less than stellar. So maybe that's why Trump's momentum seems to be shifting so strongly in his favor. Now, what I find more noteworthy and why I think employers need to be ready for similar tectonic shifts in the workplace is the energy shift among the public and the heightened visibility social media affords to those with differing viewpoints. Like, let's look at those Texas and New York rallies, for example. The Associated Press, the alleged impartial bastions of journalist integrity, reported that Harris's rally provided a double-barreled argument against Donald Trump. The article described Beyonce's speech as lofty and joyful and optimistic as she dreamed about a world where we're not divided. Our voices sing a chorus of unity, she said. Now, some Harris supporters didn't get the memo, clearly, but hats off to the woman in the black shirt here who stepped in on behalf of parents everywhere. Thank you for doing the right thing. Now, let's, just for the hell of it, see how the Trump campaign was covered. Now, according to MSNBC, Democrats drew parallels to an event celebrating the evil guys from World War II that held an event in the same venue back in 1939, and this was before the event even started. And true to form, a comedian made a bunch of jokes that gave Trump's opponents plenty of ammunition, and that made the headline, in some people's eyes, seem justified. Now, when I initially saw the clips, I couldn't help but laugh at the stupidity of it. As Trump is surging in the polls and in the betting pools, the campaign puts a comedian on stage who is known for making jokes that make the politically correct crowd go apoplectic. It seemed like a self-inflicted wound. But then I saw how Trump's supporters and attendees of the rally reacted to that characterization and, well, see for yourself.
Hey, we heard that Nazis were supposed to be here. That's what Hillary Clinton said. So we out here to see. Have you seen a Nazi today?
We are the Nazi party.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
We're
I'm
the
white though. I'm
I'm the Nazi right here, yes.
Yeah.
Dominican Nazi.
Dominican Nazi. Latina Nazi. We got
I'm the black Nazi.
black
Yeah.
Nazi.
The biggest blackest Nazi you ever seen in your life.
I'm the Jewish Nazi. The Jewish Nazi. Hey, listen, I'm the Nazi.
the white Nazi.
I'm Mr. He out here, baby.
He's the white
My white
Nazi.
Nazi.
Hey, he's the white
He's my
Nazi.
flag. White Nazi.
So we are all united here to make Donald J. Trump the 47th president of the United States. Woo!
Stop listening to the media.
Now, it looks like a diverse, multicultural, multi-faith crowd is openly mocking that name and that characterization from MSNBC. All the name calling, all the vitriol, it has been happening for so long that the barbs and attacks have been really rendered meaningless. You know, not so very long ago, many people who supported Trump did so pretty quietly because they didn't want to deal with the name calling and the accusations or run the risk of being labeled with some sort of ist committing an ism. But now, as evidenced in more than one poll, that apprehension seems to be fading away. And it's not just among his supporters. I mean, even some of his most ardent critics seem to be softening, if not committing a total about-face. Former ABC and CNN actor Chris Cuomo, of all people, had this to say.
You got to stop thinking that the people who support Trump are like Trump, that they speak like Trump, that they act like Trump. They don't. They want to hire Trump to do a dirty job. They want him to be a virus to the political corpus. They want him to disrupt, to destroy, to demean those that they disrespect and dislike, the system that they distrust and despise. They want someone to do what they believe has been done to them and that they cannot do themselves. That's why they don't care that he exhibits terrible behavior, because they're putting him into a terrible place. If you're sending somebody into the jungle, do you really care if they're a savage? You see what I'm saying? And you have to understand it that way. You may not agree, you may not accept, you may not like, but that's what it is.
No, I can't believe it. Cuomo used to openly insult Trump whenever he had an opportunity to do so. Now this change of heart, it's just remarkable. And this is where I really want employers and HR pros to pay attention to what's going on and get ahead of this. We still have a couple of weeks to go before the election, and if this year is like the past several elections, it could be weeks after November 5th before we ultimately find out who won. Now, I really think those weeks are going to be very, very touchy in the workplace, as will the weeks that follow no matter who wins the election. People you could once reasonably rely on to be silent and just smile and nod kindly as their beliefs are challenged in the political and social commentary spheres that have now become way too commonplace at way too many employers, well, those folks might not be so silent anymore, whether their team wins or loses. The temperature is so high, and Americans are already stressed about a whole lot of other things than the election, that I think executives and business leaders and HR needs to get ahead of this, and they need to discuss how they're going to help keep things real at work. It is going to be a tightrope walk for sure. Now, you want to make sure you have a pressure release mechanism in place so things don't get out of hand, but you also don't want to necessarily invite discussion, particularly if your workplace has never done that in the past. Now, as I've covered in an earlier video that I'll link in the comments below, the vast majority of Americans just want to leave politics and social justice issues and all the topics like that at the door when they come to work. They've kind of had it. They're burnt out. They're oversaturated. So maybe it's time to finally start paying attention to the will of the worker. But that's just my opinion. I want to hear what you have to say. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. You know, I may not reply directly, but I do read them all, so I really thank you for participating. And as always, if you like this content and you'd like to see more, click like, click subscribe, ring the bell, do all the things that'll help us to keep growing, and tell a friend too, the more the merrier. So no matter where you stand, no matter how you feel, please, please, please keep it civil and carry an extra dose of patience over the next few weeks. God knows we're going to need it. So until next time, folks, have an amazing week. We'll catch you on the next one. God bless.